And so I thought, what if I just make a video on YouTube? And at the time, the big thing was Periscope. And all of my clients were like, do we need to be implementing live streaming into our strategy? I don't have the time in my day between meetings and implementation and strategy to get on another phone call. So I'm just going to make a video. I sent that out to my clients, and the next day it had a couple thousand views on it. I was one of the only people talking about marketing and social media on YouTube. And so there was a lot of demand and low supply. And so I recognized, okay, people are searching for this. So it started all as an experiment. And I thought to myself, I'm going to do this once a week for the next 12 months and we'll see what happens. And in that first year, I went from no audience, like a handful of people, to growing to 3 million viewers and 50,000 subscribers in 12 months. So if you just take a second to think like what that would do in terms of visibility for your business and for what you're very good at, it was life-changing.
In today's show, I am delighted to introduce you to the very endearing Sunny Lenarduzzi, one of the most trusted voices in YouTube strategy, creator growth, and content that actually converts. She's helped thousands of entrepreneurs scale with purpose and build. In today's show, I'm delighted to introduce you to the endearing Sunny Lenarduzzi. Sunny is one of the most trusted voices in YouTube strategy, creator growth, and content that actually converts. She's helped thousands of entrepreneurs and brands build communities, generate consistent leads, and scale with purpose, leveraging video without burning out or posting for the sake of posting. What I love about Sunny's work is how practical and truly human it is. You're going to get a real flavour for that today. She's not about the vanity metrics or going viral for a weekend. She's about building a channel that works for your business, your audience, and your energy. With nearly a decade on YouTube, a wildly loyal community, and a track record of helping founders turn content into revenue, she is the perfect guide for anyone looking to build predictable, sustainable growth through video. As ever, I invite you to go and grab a cup of coffee, a notepad and pen, and enjoy the show. Sunny, you are very welcome to the ScaleX Insider podcast. Absolutely delighted and thrilled to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, look, we connected back in February in San Diego. It's taken us to this time, 10 months later to record the podcast, but so delighted to have you on. You know, our vision is to inspire, connect, and enable millions of ambitious leaders of small to medium-sized enterprises to scale with purpose. So Sunny, what does scaling with purpose mean to you?
Scaling with purpose for me means scaling in alignment with what is your unique definition of success. I think when you scale a company, it's very easy to get distracted and to have shiny object syndrome and to veer off course and start defining your path by external metrics of success or external pressures. And so for me, scaling on purpose means scaling with your own internal alignment of what values you have and what matters to you.
Oh, I love that. That's a unique twist on what I typically hear in now more than 200 episodes. So I love that. Often very difficult to do, of course,
Yes.
because you have to set out, first of all, what is your definition of success and not get attracted by the shiny things. So, I mean, you've been an entrepreneur for a couple of decades. What do you know now that you didn't know back then, say, even a decade ago?
Oh man. I think the biggest thing that I have figured out in my journey, and truthfully, the reason that I love being an entrepreneur is subconsciously, I think, because sometimes it's frustrating, but I think it's the fact that there is no endpoint and you have to fall in love with the journey of it. And I think so many people think when I just hit the first million or when I've hit X number of clients or when I hit whatever that external metric of success is, then I'll have made it. I'll be golden. And it's just not true because the real joy of doing this and being an entrepreneur, and I think when you know you're cut out for it, is you're somebody who's like, I just love the process. I love the journey. I actually really love being in the hardness of it sometimes and being in the struggle of it because like that's where you can refine your skills and you make sure that you're always a practitioner and you're not just sort of being lazy and sitting back and forgetting why you got into it in the first place and what it means to you.
We're always changing the goalposts on ourselves, aren't we?
Oh,
And
yes.
building suffering into the process as a result of never actually attaining the goal that we set out originally. I found that in our previous scaling journey. As soon as we get to a point, I thought it was going to be 10 million. As soon as
Yeah.
we got close, we changed it to 25 million. As soon as we got close, we changed it to 50. So you actually never give yourself a point where you go, yes, we've met
Totally. And I also think it's so important when you do hit those milestones to pause. I think that's one of the most important things you can do as a business owner. You have to pause and reflect because if you don't take the time to just slow down, it's a marathon, not a sprint, as everybody says. But if you don't take the chance to slow down and really reflect on what you've been able to accomplish and what that milestone actually means, you're going to continuously chase more, 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 more. And oftentimes that does lead to burning things down as well, because you're doing it not for a reason that is actually anchored in your why, but you're doing it for a reason that is just anchored in, I just want more. And I want the thrill of that new entrepreneur feeling of constantly chasing, constantly growing, constantly hustling. But if you're constantly in that season of never ending hustle, you're ultimately going to burn out or burn the business down.
completely agree. The other point here, you cannot go back and celebrate those milestones. And I mean, it's like trying to attend, your young kids, your 3-year-old's nativity play whenever they're
Yeah.
13. You can't
Yes.
go back and do that, and it's so critically important because these are milestones at one point you said was a dream, and
Mhm.
I think we can too quickly move past those. So speaking of milestones, I mean, you've just shared with me you have 4,000 people within your online community,
Yeah,
which is
community.
incredible. How did you get started on YouTube? I mean, why YouTube, and how did this originate? How have you now become the YouTube guru?
Well, I think one of my mottos is test, fail, learn, grow, repeat. And so this was all an experiment in the beginning. And I really fell into it backwards. I was working with clients individually. So I had a little consultancy slash agency, and I was a one-woman show. And so I was helping my clients build their social media strategies. And I was working with everything from big corporations to individual personal brands, authors, etc. And I was very good at it. And so I was starting to get word of mouth referrals quite a bit, but I was one person running this business, doing all of the actual implementation and the overarching strategy. And I just at the time I was very young and I really didn't think I ever wanted to grow it into a team or into like this full-fledged business. So I really just sat down one day and I was like, okay, all of my clients are asking me the same things over and over again. And every single time I answer them, I have to get on a new meeting, get on the phone with them individually. So I'm just repeating myself all day long. So how could I clone myself essentially? And so I thought, what if I just make a video on YouTube? And at the time, the big thing was Periscope. This is dating me big time, but the live streaming app. And all of my clients were like, do we need to be implementing live streaming into our strategy? Um, and keep in mind, I started doing social media and doing this work before Instagram even existed. So like this, it was slim
Wow.
pickings in terms of your options. And so I was like, okay, they're all asking me about this. I don't have the time in my day between meetings and implementation and strategy to get on another phone call. So I'm just going to make a video. So I sat down in my teeny tiny little apartment. I had my webcam, window for lighting, and filmed a video on how to use Periscope for your business. And I had no audience on my YouTube channel. I had friends and family that were subscribed because I'd done random vlogs throughout the years and posted clips of when I was a journalist, etc., but no real intent. So I sent that out to my clients, and the next day it had a couple thousand views on it, and I was very confused because I did not intend for that to happen, nor did I have the audience that actually made that make sense. So then I reverse engineered, and I was like, okay, how did this happen? Okay, I'm one of the only people at that time, which was also dating me. I was one of the only people talking about marketing and social media on YouTube. And so there was a lot of demand and low supply. And so I recognized, okay, people are searching for this. Just like my clients are asking these questions about live streaming in their business, people are searching for this. So that means that if I just answer questions each week via a video on YouTube, I wonder what would happen. So it started all as an experiment. And I thought to myself, I'm going to do this once a week for the next 12 months and we'll see what happens. And so started to get a ton of requests, inbound leads, people being like, I want to hire you in my business to do our social media marketing strategy. Obviously, that did the opposite of what I wanted it to do because then I had more demand and I had less time. And in that first year, I went from no audience, like a handful of people, to growing to 3 million viewers and 50,000 subscribers in 12 months. So if you just take a second to think like what that would do in terms of visibility for your business and for what you're very good at, it was life-changing. One of my first speaking engagements, I was flown to NATO's headquarters in Brussels, and I spoke to members of NASA and the CIA, and it was insane. Um, and I just started to get more and more opportunity. And that was one of those moments, which I think is why, for me, alignment is so important, because that was a season of my career where I was saying yes to everything and I was getting all these opportunities coming my way, but I was just spreading myself so thin. And I recognized I have so much demand coming at me because of this visibility. How can I actually work with this and leverage it in a really sustainable way? And so that's when I discovered the whole online program world, online course world, created my first course. It's terrible. I think I sold maybe $10,000 worth of that first course. And it was awful, truly. But it taught me a lot. And then from there, I made another program, and it was a low ticket program. And that one had 10,000 people in it when we ended up completing it and finishing it and shutting it down. And for the last 7 years, I've had a program dedicated to helping people scale their expertise using online programs. So we've helped everyone from DJs to dancers to lawyers to accountants to doctors to yoga nidra experts to everything in between. And we now have this, very cohesive client journey of, let's get your program off the ground, get it proven and validated. Okay, and now we're going to scale it organically, leveraging our organic marketing strategy, which, yes, YouTube is a part of it.
Which brings me to the question then, is this applicable for everyone? There's so much in this I want to tease out during the course of the conversation, but is it applicable for everyone, or is it solopreneurs, those in the kind of in the knowledge economy, those who want to bring their knowledge to a mass audience? Who do you see this typically for, and is it or is it should everyone who has a business now who's looking to bring their products or services to a wider audience, should they be on YouTube?
Well, I think so. There's a couple things in there that, like, you said mass audience and wider audience, and I just want to address that first. So I am a big believer in the smaller and more targeted your audience is, the more profitable it will be for your business, which is the antithesis of what YouTube is, and what most people teach when it comes to YouTube. And so I'll answer who it's for in a second, but I think what's really important to understand is, like, it could potentially be beneficial to any business, just like social media in general can be beneficial to any business. Having said that, businesses have grown, scaled, existed long before social media did. So I don't believe you need social media to grow a business. I'm a big believer in one-to-one human communication, doing a ton of research with people who are actually potential clients before you build anything, whether that's the YouTube channel or the program. And so that tells you what people need, what they're looking for, because ultimately, this is the least sexy thing you're ever going to hear about YouTube, but it's still a search engine. And it's still a place people are going to seek out advice, answers, and solutions. And yes, it's an entertainment platform, but they're two different, vastly different games. So if you're going on there to be an entertainer, you're going on there to monetize through eyeballs, and you need a mass audience to make it make any sense for yourself, because you get paid 1 to 3 cents per view on YouTube. So like it's not a lot. And think about how hard it is to rack up views. And then if you're doing it as a business owner, you actually have something that you can sell, monetize, etc., that's going to help people at a deeper level. You don't need a lot of people, you need the right people. So the game in that sense is, how can I target the people who need me the most? Because when you go mass and broad, and we've had clients who have mentioned this, we have one client who teaches European Portuguese, and she's built $1 million a year business. And she said to me, she's like, I never want to go viral again. And the reason is, when you go viral and you own a business, you then get a broad mass audience of people who don't really care about how you serve. And they're then going to not watch anything you do moving forward because they're not invested. So you want a small audience of people who are invested, who are the right people, who are a potential pipeline to work with you at a deep level and get incredible results. So it's like a completely different game. So could it work for any business and could it work for anyone? Absolutely. There's so many ways that you can use YouTube. For me and how I work with people, which is what I like to stick to because I'm very laser focused on what we do best, is we work with people who have their subject matter experts, because YouTube is a place that people are looking for a trusted authority, a guide, an expert. It is an incredible place to be. And the reason that it's so differentiated from other social media platforms, and actually I don't even refer to YouTube as a social media platform because it's really a video hosting platform, but it's different from, say, an Instagram, a TikTok, Facebook, a LinkedIn. Because for those platforms, we call them on-demand platforms, you're pulling a lever. You're constantly having to post to get a short shelf life of attention. Whereas YouTube, when you post a very intentional piece of content, that piece of content can generate leads and sales and amazing clients for you for the rest of time, because it's an evergreen platform. It's a search-based platform. So that's really how we approach it. And because we approach it in that way with our clients, who are teaching, ultimately, they're providing value. They're generating these businesses or creating these businesses, leveraging organic marketing that are generating like millions of dollars, multi-millions of dollars without spending a dime on advertising, because it's free advertising at the end of the day. And one thing I just will add to that, and it's a long answer, but one thing I'll add to that is, it's a beautiful thing because it exponentially increases your impact. Because all of a sudden you go from, I'm helping people in my clinic or I'm helping people in my local area, to I'm helping people all over the world. So local businesses, they can leverage YouTube. It's a little more tricky. But if you're looking to go from isolated to just your geographic area to creating a much bigger impact for people all around the world who need your expertise, YouTube is the place to be. And I know there's, AI now, which we've leaned in a lot of ways. We've created a ton of tools to kind of expedite the process for our clients to go from not having a program to validating a program to scaling a program. But ChatGPT, Claude, etc., they're not a replacement for YouTube. If anything, they've made YouTube more valuable, because now more than ever, people are craving humans. They're craving a real human being with lived experience and earned wisdom, and not just a rabbit hole of asking questions. And that's why they refer to, AI as answer engine optimization, whereas YouTube is search engine optimization. People are going there with the intent to learn, not just answer a question.
So there's so much in there. And this speaks to our own purpose. We assert, if you've got a wonderful product or service, then you've an obligation to bring this to the world. And what I'm hearing is, YouTube is your opportunity, is your platform leveraged in the right way to bring your wonderful product or service to the world, especially if you're a subject matter expert. And right now you're contained by your location and your ability to meet people in person. So in order to optimize then the value exchange. So, we want to put our content out there. We want to deliver wonderful value to serve as many people as we can, and in doing so, we want to ensure that there is a fair value exchange. So ultimately, we have the ability to monetize our time, our experience, our curation of the content, of the value that we're delivering. So let's take it from the top. What are the core principles of actually getting onto YouTube and leveraging YouTube? And then we'll get into some of the non-negotiable tactics to leverage that, because I want to make sure that people listening they'll say, well, look, Sunny, it's okay for you. You look great, you sound great. You kicked off. You got your 50,000 subs, your 3 million views. The rest of us now are living in a world where YouTube is saturated with content, very noisy out there. The production quality is so high. I mean, I think with the podcast, we have 3,000 subs. So you made me feel good whenever you said, no, niche down. That's going to be my excuse in future. But versus the Steven Bartletts of this world, who is spending millions of pounds on an annual basis to deliver something that's very polished. So what are some of the kind of the core principles of actually getting out onto YouTube to begin sharing your product or service to the world?
Well, I think what you just brought up is a really good starting point. You are not Steven Bartlett and you are not Mr. Beast. So I think and you and your audience, I'm saying that for everybody. And it's
why do we always compare
understand.
ourselves to these people though?
But their game is very different, right?
Yeah.
Their game is very different. They're optimizing for eyeballs, and their budgets to create this content, it's not, to say unrealistic is an understatement. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars that I know for sure for Mr. Beast that he's betting, if not millions, on one video. And he's betting on that one video to bring him in enough to compensate for it, which he's obviously done, but he is the 1%. So that is why the online world is an insane place to be and to digest and to understand, because it will make you crazy if you try to play the wrong game. And fame is fleeting for a reason. And fame exists as a construct for a reason. It's only available to a tiny percentage of people. And so you're not competing for fame, you're not competing for eyeballs, you're competing for creating the most value for the people who need you the most. And so even in terms of production value, yes, it's important, but honestly, if people can hear you and they can see you, if your audio and your lighting is good, great. And you can achieve that with the webcam, and you can achieve that with a clip-on $20 mic. So the production value for somebody who runs a business and is monetizing their product or their service, which again, I actually want to note something you said earlier, if you have a great product or service, get it out to the masses. I'm a big believer in that. And the non-negotiable of starting on YouTube is you need to have something great that you're actually offering people. If you have shit marketing, you have a shit product, you have, not a great offer, it doesn't matter how good any of your marketing is. It's not going to last. So that's the non-negotiable. You have to know what you're talking about first and foremost. And so the production value matters a lot less than the value of what you're actually teaching and saying. We have clients who have a bare bones setup. One of our clients has been filming himself for 4 years. He's generated $10 million in the last 4 years with a team of 3 people. So it does not matter how good you look. It matters how much value you are providing to the people who are seeking out your help, because your viewer is not going onto YouTube going, oh my gosh, I have to watch Brendan's next video. Your viewer is going onto YouTube going, I am stuck in my business. I do not know how to scale. I feel completely trapped. How to scale a business. And that's a very broad term, but that's who you're trying to reach. You're not trying to reach the masses. And so the production value just does not matter nearly as much. I filmed myself up until last year, just FYI too.
So I'm hearing the number of principles in there. Principle 1 is ensure that you're on the platform for the right reasons. If you're on there to be famous, you're
going to want to bang your head into the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
I promise you that.
So align to your purpose.
Yes.
Principle 2 is don't get distracted by others' production values. You can actually you can get started, with a very, very low investment, I'm hearing. Is there a third principle in there? What we're saying is, determine the value that you're already providing, whether somebody's coming into your shop, whether you're coaching on a one-to-one basis, if you're selling a turd on in person, it's just a
It's
turd.
still a turd online.
So
Yeah.
you've got to determine that that there's real value in what
Yeah.
you're doing in the context of the transformation that you're providing in the first instance. So
Yeah.
I think we've discerned three principles. There anything else?
There's one more. I think like people get really caught up in the content strategy because again, it gets really confusing if you're trying to go the entertainment route without even knowing it. So my best advice for your content strategy is if you have an offer or product or service and you're location trapped or you're time trapped because you are only doing things one-on-one, you have a whole plethora, you have a whole bank of incredible content topics from the questions you were asked on a daily basis, and really distilling those down to what are the juiciest problems that you need to solve for the people that you work with and that you serve. If you just start with those, that is going to help you so much. And know that you have no information, you have no data until you actually start putting out content. So start by creating videos that answer questions and solve problems using your unique approach, because everybody on the planet, even if you do something that somebody else does, your approach, your earned wisdom, your time spent doing it is going to make you do it a little differently. And that's what we call marketable content. So YouTube used to be a game of creating kind of how-to videos. Now it's really how I videos. So like how I do this specific thing or how I helped this person achieve this result, because that takes it from something that people can copy in a copycat world to no, you own this. And this is your unique approach to it. And so you really need to go with that. So the content strategy needs to be based on juicy problems that you solve already and just turning that into video format. And creating kind of like a mini transformation out of each video. So taking someone from they're stuck on this thing to here's how you solve it. And then from there, I always say start with like the first 8 videos and get them on the channel. Whether you have an existing channel, but it's like kind of stuck or plateaued, or you're starting brand new, you want to have 8 videos to give you enough data in the analytics to tell you what is working, what's not working. And I'm not talking about views. The things you want to be paying attention to are what is the retention on each video. If you're above 40%, you're doing great. Anything above that is incredible. If you are getting click-throughs, so your CTR matters, it should be between 2 and 10%. Anything above that is awesome. But also the CTR matters because who's clicking on it. You want to make sure that it's being clicked on by the people who are actually your target audience, and you're not going viral to a broad audience of people who don't care, or you're not hitting an audience who's never going to be a buyer for you. So those metrics matter the most, the CTR, the retention. Those are your goals, because retention tells you people are actually watching the content, which that's the toughest battle to win. It is people actually paying attention to your video and watching the whole thing through.
Right. Let's just recap there. So 4 principles that I have teased out of this. Principle number 1, ensure it's purpose aligned. Principle 2 is entry level investment. Principle 3 is dialing in your proposition, and principle 4 is content based on problems that you're solving for in the context of already defining your proposition. So
I got a 5th.
Go for it.
Really quick, because this may sound so simple that I almost forgot to mention it, but it's something people miss. Make sure you have a CTA at least 3 times in your video. In the first minute and a half, you need to have a CTA. In the first 25%, have a second CTA. And then at the very end, you need to have another CTA to take people who find you on YouTube to a home base. And ideally, that's your email list. So you can send them direct to buy, etc., but get them on a list so that you then own the audience, because you don't own your audience on YouTube. And then once you start to own your audience on your email list, the beautiful part of that is it becomes this really wonderful little cycle. Whenever you release a new YouTube video, you send it to that audience of people who actually care. And so that tells YouTube, when those people go watch that video each week, oh my gosh, this channel is getting a ton of signals from the exact audience that they want. Great. Now we're going to use our internal traffic sources to serve this video to even more people.
So I'm going to stick that into tactics. So what we're saying here, to get started, we're going to produce 8 videos. Don't concern yourself with the production value at this stage. You know, what I'm hearing is, think that you're speaking to the client that really needs you right now,
Yes.
the one with the problem that you're solving for on a daily basis, and speak through that transformation, where they're at now, their current reality, where they want to get to, and the journey to ultimately get them there. And within those videos, as you're producing them, we want a clear call to action. We're sending them somewhere, and just on that, then getting super tactical, we're sending them what to an email newsletter, to a lead magnet, something that they can download. What typically works?
There's kind of levels to it. So we have this thing we call the content scaling funnel, because there's levels of awareness. You want to be able to meet people kind of where they're at, and also build a pipeline of folks who might not be ready now, ready later. So at the top of the funnel, those are people who they're not even really problem aware. They just are sort of like window shopping. They're kind of like, oh, that sounds interesting, or it's on the peripheral. And so those people you want to give a lead magnet to, because they're not invested enough to do anything else. They're not going to watch a webinar. They're not going to watch a VSL. But that lead magnet can make them aware, oh, this is why I'm seeking this out. I'm actually struggling with this problem. Middle of the funnel is someone with a little higher intent. They are problem aware. They know they have an issue, but they're not really at a high urgency level to solve it. So that's somebody who definitely would be more suited to a video sales letter or a webinar. And then the bottom of the funnel, those are your hottest leads. And it's going to be the smallest group of people, but they're the most likely to convert. So that's why small views can equal big profitability. So at the bottom of the funnel, you can send them directly to book a call with you, buy, etc., because they have the shortest sales cycle and path to go from stranger to actually purchasing.
What else from a tactics perspective, Sunny?
Oh my goodness, I'm trying to think of the other things that I would kind of harp on. Those are the big ones. And truthfully, I would say the most tactical piece of YouTube is the data. But you don't have the data until you start testing. And so once you get that first set of 8 videos out, you actually have the baseline to work from to go, okay, this video generated the most leads for us. We got to double down on that. And it is all cyclical, regardless of the platform that you're on. Let's say you have a video that generated the most leads, and it also maybe brought in a decent amount of subscribers. When people subscribe off of that one video and that topic, why do you think they're on your channel? They want more of that topic. So that helps you inform your content strategy moving forward to go, okay, that topic that I just did, that reaped a lot of reward in terms of leads and in terms of people getting subscribed to the channel. I'm not a proponent of counting subscriber numbers. I don't care. And in fact, I know it's easy for me to sort of say this because I've got close to 700,000 subscribers on my channel, but we actually just launched a brand new channel, the authority.io channel, because that's our company name. And it's not just me hosting the videos on there. And we started that channel with the clear intent of we do not want everyone subscribed to this channel. We want this to be a hyper-targeted, hyper-focused channel. And from day one, video one, we were generating leads. So that tells you that when you have a clear intent before you get started on YouTube, and you have a clear goal and strategy and target for how you want to, introduce yourself to people, solve their problems, and then nurture them into becoming potential clients that you can serve at the deepest level, it works. And it doesn't matter how big your audience is.
I think that's a fifth principle that I'm hearing there in terms of the higher level principles, is that commit for a period of time.
Yes.
It's that either commit
Yes.
for a time period or commit to X number of videos. Going back to the question I asked you right at the outset, how did you get started? You put one video out there, you put a second video, you then decided to commit for 12 months, to test this for 12 months. And I love that. I think, if people can get over themselves in many respects and say, look, this is potentially a wonderful platform to access a wider customer set, to deliver true value. There's someone out there today that needs you.
Yeah.
And because of your reluctance maybe to get started, they're not being served. So I feel that kind of fifth principle being that commitment
Hmm.
to test it for a period of time. Speaking of reluctance to be on the platform, you know, is there a case here where, you know, at a certain age, a certain vintage, if we're only getting started tomorrow,
Yeah.
we've missed the boat.
No,
YouTube is so crowded.
no,
No,
no. I would say actually you have a bigger advantage because you actually know what you're talking about. So I would say
thank you.
not to discredit the youth. But yeah, I think we have so many clients that are in an older age demographic that crush it because they have so much wisdom and so much value to share. So I actually think that's an incredible time for you to be leaning into a platform like YouTube because YouTube's long form. You can fake it pretty well on a lot of platforms. It's hard to fake it on a long form platform. So especially on video. Um, so yeah, I would say it's actually a great time to dive in.
So, what are some of the mindset challenges that you face with people who want to do this but are hugely reluctant? I mean, how do we get over this reluctance, this reticence to put ourselves out there?
I would say the number one thing is people often make it about them. And I equate it to speaking engagements. Like when I did my very first speaking engagement, I thought I was going to pass out. I was so nervous. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat the day before. I was just so nervous. I wanted to crawl into a ball and just go to sleep. But that's because I was making it about me. I was so worried about what I sounded like, what I looked like, etc. Whereas if you start to really focus on I can help a lot of people because I know my stuff. And I've helped enough people now in the work that I do and the thing that I'm very good at to know that I have a lot of value to share. And so if you can flip that and reframe it and go, how many people could I realistically impact if I take this from my silo that I'm in right now to being able to be online? So stop making it about yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. Nobody really cares. And people really, I often say this, I'm like, nobody cares about you on YouTube. They care about how much you can help them, especially if you're in the realm of being a business owner. Um, if you're an entertainer, it's a whole different ballgame. But yeah, I would say that is a big one. And I would also say patience is a problem. Like minimum 6 months, you got to commit. At the very least, you have to do 2 months to get those first day videos out, and it's one a week. And I am not a fan, and I've tested everything under the sun. I am everybody's guinea pig. I've done 3 videos a week. I've tested so many different, quantity numbers, and really doesn't make a massive difference as a business owner. So one high intent, high quality video each week, not quality in terms of production value, in terms of the value that you're providing to people and the problem that you're solving in that video, that's really all you need. So at a minimum, you need 2 months to get those first A test videos out. Then the fun starts because you're like, okay, now I have data to work with. Now I would know what actually generated leads. I know what actually generated some momentum and some authority inside the algorithm. Let me double down on those topics. So then you need, another 2 months to build out that next content strategy. And then you're starting to like really see the ball roll. And I think it is really a snowball effect with YouTube. If you can just stick with it, because most people don't, you will reap the rewards, and it is a long game, but so is business. So if you want a free advertising platform because you're really good at what you do, YouTube is a great place to be.
Okay, I'm committing to 6 months. I'm gonna get those first 8 videos out, one a week. That sounds quite intense,
Mhm.
one a week, given the demands
Yeah.
of business. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, is that what in your experience, what have you found really hits the sweet spot in terms of length, in terms of style, and let's get into some of the do's and don'ts in the
Yeah.
early stages.
So, I mean, you can also start with one a month. You can start with two a month, getting your feet wet. I just find that the kind of nice cadence in terms of like getting consistency with the return for your business is 3 to 4 a month. I've also done three for long periods of time and it makes no difference. I've also gone off of YouTube and taken long breaks and it doesn't make a massive difference because we still have that evergreen lead gen in there. So that's important to understand is that it's not meant for you to have to pull that lever every single week. It's meant for you to have these videos that work for you. So I think that's an important principle. when it comes to that. I think I think approaching it from the perspective of, this is not going to be probably popular to hear, but I think approaching it from the perspective of like really a scientist mindset and an experimental mindset and not expecting anything out of it in the beginning is important. You might be pleasantly surprised. We've had clients who get their first sale within like the first video, but it's not expecting that and just sort of going, okay, this is something I'm going to have on the side and I'm going to do it and we're going to see what happens. And part of that is I film once a month, if that, and I batch 4 videos in that one go. Now, are you going to do that right away? Maybe not. The first time I tried to film a YouTube video, I started crying because it took me so long. So, but at that time too, I was very confused on the format and I was trying to be everything to everyone. Now it's like rinse and repeat. I know exactly what I need to say. And also, you have the benefit of being really good at what you do and having so much wisdom that you could talk about it right now. You could film a YouTube video right after this on a topic about your business because you know it inside and out. So it's not like you're having to do this like huge push where you're talking about something that's foreign to you. You're talking about something that's innate. So I think that's a big part of it, is like be really organized. Know that the hardest part is the research and the content ideation. Once you have that locked, and you do tactically, you do want to know what's the topic, what's the title, because topic and title are different. You can have a topic, but the title needs to be optimized. What's the thumbnail, and have at least 3 options for your thumbnail, and then film, and then have the script and then film. So those are the 4 things that have to be done before you even go to film. Then when you go to film, it's like boom, boom, boom. You just talk about it. I've done everything from like, I've used a teleprompter. It's not my fave. So now I kind of just use bullet points because I know the stuff inside and out. So I can just ref. And that's often more authentic.
There's a couple of things in there. Topic, title, thumbnail, script. I want to come to kind of the tools of the trade. You mentioned a teleprompter. We're getting super specific here now. But in terms of the duration, Sunny, you know, is there an optimum length? Do you feel?
Yes, good question. So no, no, there isn't. And the reason I say that is this, because when you're approaching this as a business owner, your goal is you're generating new viewers, new leads every day because people are discovering you through the different traffic sources, search, suggested, browse. And if that's the case, people have no loyalty to you. And so they will not sit through a bunch of fluff and filler, and they won't sit through a really long intro. So it's not so much the length as it is like ensuring that whatever you are sharing in that video, you're doing it in the most efficient way possible because people do not have time. And most importantly is your interest. We call it the hot script structure, and it's hook, outcome, testimonial, and then CTA within the first minute and a half. You want to have all of those things included in the first minute and a half so that you reassure people they're in the right spot. They can trust you, you know what you're talking about, and you're not going to take them on a wild goose chase of talking about yourself for 5 minutes before getting into anything important. So we've had 45-minute videos perform incredibly well. We've had 8-minute videos perform incredibly well. It's about efficiency as opposed to actual time length.
Hook, outcome, testimonial. So the hook being a statement of the problem that that you have.
You want to do this with like a topic for your own channel?
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. So first of all, what is the core problem you solve for people?
So you put me on the spot here now. Essentially, I free leaders to flourish. So
okay.
I free them from the day-to-day operational chaos of their business so that ultimately they can scale with purpose.
And what kind of business owners do you work with most?
So typically small to medium-sized enterprises, anyone from 1 million right up to kind of 100 million and everything in between. The sweet spot's typically between 5 and 15.
Okay, give me an example of one of your favorite clients you've ever worked with. What specifically was their business and what did they come to you for?
So this, we have many, but let's take a second generational leader, because that
Okay.
transition can be really challenging for people.
Okay.
So, and it's typically from father to son,
Yeah.
father founder, son taking over. Son
Yeah.
typically feels imposter syndrome. Question is
Yeah.
he, has he been stepped into the role as MD because he's earned it, or is it because of nepotism?
Yeah.
His only mentor has ever been his dad, who has won Lens in the world. So that transition is really challenging for second generation leaders. Um,
Okay.
we, we call them shadow leaders in terms of the persona that we've given these, because
Yeah.
typically they'll have the title, but they don't have the authority if the founding father is still lurking around the business.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I'm just gonna wing this because I don't know the ins and outs of it. But if you were to think of, let's start with just a title for that. If you were to think of a title for that, what would you call that video?
Oh my words.
What would they describe themselves as? Would they describe themselves as generational leaders? Would they describe themselves as, I think you said second founders or
Yes,
second
second generation leaders. Yeah.
second? Okay, so they know that term. That's a term
Yeah.
that they would know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would probably call it something like second generation leadership, how to transition into leading by avoiding the nepotism trap. Because nepotism would be a fear for most of them.
Yeah.
So we can tighten that, but that's kind of where it would start. Then the actual video itself, you would want to start with the hook. So what's kind of when people go into that position, what are their biggest insecurities?
It's typically that they're not fit for the role, that they've only
Okay.
been given the role
Because
because of
they're
the
okay.
family name,
Okay.
that actually others may not respect them,
Okay.
because they're now in the role and they're thinking they're in the role because of the family name.
Yes. Okay.
That
That's great. We'll start there. So feel like you are constantly trying to prove yourself as a leader in your business and that everybody is judging you because you were hand delivered the role on a silver spoon. Perfect. That's your hook. We tighten that too, but that's fine. Outcome. By the end of this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 strategies to avoid the nepotism trap and to assert yourself as a respected leader within your organization so the baton can be handed to you without any question marks. Uh, Testimonial is I've helped this person in this company, if you want to name the company, go from faltering when they started as the leader to now running a corporation of 100 employees and scaling the business to X number with a great company culture. If you're at a place where you're in this transition yourself, would love to speak with you. Go ahead and book a discovery call below.
love that, and
So it gives you the flow.
we've helped so many second generation leaders. So you've given me a place, that makes complete sense. We focus on 4 personas. So the second generation leader, the dead man walking, is the person caught in their business.
Yeah.
The graduate is a very popular one, is that person who has started a business, has got to a certain place and thinks that what got them from here, typically from 0 to
Yeah.
1 million, that what's got them to here is going to
We'll
get
get
them
them
to
there.
there.
Yeah.
So there's a level of hubris there. So we tend to focus our messaging on core personas, key personas.
Yeah.
So, but you've given me great substance there for the second generation leaders. So
Well, I think what's interesting there and something that I think is important for people to understand is the more narrow your target in terms of a persona, the more you're going to see a benefit from YouTube. So I think that's something to consider, because the algorithm wants to categorize you. And so if you're trying to be categorized in multiple places, it just confuses the algorithm on who they actually want to help you reach. So having sort of that one overarching, we call it an ideal client avatar, ICA, is really important to turning YouTube into this incredible lead generation machine.
makes complete sense. Do's and don'ts, Sunny. What are some of the things that we absolutely should do in those early stages to get traction? What I'm hearing here is commit, be consistent with
Mm-hmm.
getting content out there. You've given a structure. What are some of the other do's here in terms of actually getting our content to stick?
I think the most important thing is doing your research in terms of you know what you're talking about. So it's not like you have to, reinvent the wheel and make up something brand new. But when I say do your research, see what else is out there. One of the best strategies you can use is search for a problem within your space and look at the top 3 videos, watch them from start to finish, and look for the gaps. Look for the gaps that are there in terms of how people could benefit from that content and go, okay, I know how to fill those, and I know how to create a more robust solution to that problem. That is an easy way for you to position yourself as the trusted guide in a space, even if you're starting from scratch. Because the value of what you're sharing inside your video, which really is, I'm going to call it a script, but it doesn't mean you have to read it word for word. It means that you need to have a structure to it, the hot intro, a clear CTA at the outcome, and sort of a flow of the content in the middle to make it sequential for people and easy to follow. That's important. But you can read it or, deliver it any way you want. But doing that research to know what already exists out there that people are going to look for and find, dissect their intros. Because if the first video that's ranking right now for that, topic has like a 5-minute intro that gets into the meat way too late in the video, that's a huge opportunity. Make it really concise, make it really quick, position yourself as the expert using that hot intro, and then get right into it. That is going to help because YouTube loves fresh content. So even if there's videos that have been up there for years that are ranking in the top spots or being pushed in the top spots, doesn't mean you can't. We've seen that many times. As long as the content is actually valuable and you're getting the right people to watch that content through the algorithm and through your own, if you have an email list, etc., of targeted ideal viewers, that is going to signal to YouTube that you're the new kid on the block who actually knows what they're talking about.
This space is very noisy, so what you've just invited me to do there is maybe go and I'll discover Alex Hermosi and I'll discover Steven Bartlett, and I'm going, oh no, there's no place for me on YouTube. And I think a lot of
Yep.
a lot of people listening will be in that
Yeah.
space where there are key influencers out there. Influencers may be the wrong word, but key authorities out there who
Hmm.
have been at this for a long
Yeah.
time, who are very proficient in terms of the substance of the content that they're
Yeah.
delivering, but also the production value. If I stumble across 2 or 3 of those, surely that's going to I'm going to
Well,
be.
you wouldn't. And this is why. So it's a great point. So thank you. Um, if you go on there looking up how to scale a business, sure, you're going to find Stephen Bartlett, you're going to find Alex Hermosi, you're going to find the big channels, which are kind of a hybrid of entertainment and value. Um, that's still a different game. So what you need to go looking for and what your audience needs to go looking for is what are the specific things that you solve, not the overarching how to build a business. Because let's just say you build a channel around how to build a business. You're going to get brick and mortar store owners. You're going to get people who run Fortune 500 companies. You're going to get coaches. You're going to get um, agency owners. That's a vast array. And also, it puts you, I always like to think of YouTube as an ocean. It puts you in a massive sea where you're just going to sink to the bottom. Whereas the narrower the pool you're in, and you want to be a big fish in a small pond, the more you can rise to the top. So if you were to think of like, what sort of a micro problem that you solve for your clients? Like what you just said about second generation leadership or generational leadership, that's a very specific angle. And that's what you're looking to do. Similar to me, I'm not helping everybody grow and scale a business. I help people build online educational programs.
Yeah, that I'm glad I asked the question.
Yeah, I'm so glad
Um,
you did because it's
uh,
a huge differentiator.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Some of the don'ts, some of the things we absolutely shouldn't do, and I'm getting a sense that maybe the first of these is don't be overly critical whenever you've just recorded your first video and posted it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think don't get in your own head and in your own way and make it about you. Remember that this is kind of step one to being able to impact a lot more people than you're used to. And that's a beautiful thing. So worry more about, did I actually create something that's going to help somebody? And that's really all you need to focus on. And also, do not, I repeat, do not get caught up in views and subscribers because those are strictly vanity metrics that are built to benefit YouTube. They're not built to benefit you. And if you're going to be the boss of the algorithm as opposed to the algorithm being the boss of you have to be focused on, did this generate leads? Did I get people onto my email list? Did I get people into my own, community and sphere? Or am I strictly doing this to play the game on YouTube? And you want to be doing it in a way where you are taking these people who discover you and bringing them into your own ecosystem so that you can really own that audience. So I know that's the hardest thing for people to do. And people are like, oh, my video sucks. I got 200 views. And I'm like, you have 10 subscribers. If you got 200 views, that means people outside of your subscriber base are watching it and it's getting picked up and search suggested and browse. And that is a win. Also, how many sales or leads did you get from that? Oh, I got a sale. You got one sale, $10,000 sale from 200 views. That is a win. So I actually like to think about it like this. You can say it's like dollar per view. And the higher your dollar per view, the better your channel is doing as a business owner. Whereas if you have a channel with, we see this all the time. We actually had somebody come to us recently. They have 200,000 subscribers and they're making $1,200 a month. That's it. Because they have no focus on the channel. They have no intent with their content. Whereas we have another channel that started with us with 11 subscribers. They now have, I'm not sure actually what they've grown to, but when they were at 3,500 subscribers, they were doing about 3 million a year.
What are the other don'ts?
Those are my big ones that I think are the most important, but um don't be afraid to just test. Like you don't know until you know. And data is your very best friend. Don't ignore the data. That is a big one. Because if
Br-
you're just going based off of views and subscriber information, you're going to want to quit.
Brilliant. Also, what I'm hearing is don't get overly caught up with the tax. So just to kind of um, complete the loop on that, you mentioned at the outset sometimes you use the teleprompter. What are the other kind of essentials if we're going to record YouTube content that is YouTube worthy?
Yeah. Well, I think YouTube worthy is a interesting term because I would say like there is no such thing as YouTube worthy. It's really, again, I feel like I'm saying this a lot, but it is about how much you're able to help people. So if the lighting's not top notch and your audio is like decent but not amazing, that's still okay if you're still able to help people. So I just, yeah, I just wouldn't worry about that piece too much. I got distracted on that point. So sorry, what was the original question that you were
No,
asking
that
there?
I wanted to get a kit list to get started here. And
Yes,
if somebody's got a PC, can they just simply start recording YouTube content at home on their
you can
laptop?
use a webcam and it works really well. The Logitech C920 is awesome. There's also a ton of great ones out there that are like very cost effective. Honestly, if you have an iPhone, iPhones are great. Androids are great. Like there's so many options out there now, and the camera quality on these things that are in your pocket every single day is incredible. So use that. DSLRs are complicated as all hell, and I'm not trying to be, a videographer. So I filmed myself for a long, 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 long time. And I literally just knew how to hit record my DSLR. I didn't know how to do anything else with it. So it's just not necessary. So simplify it. I think the more friction you create in your setup, the less likely you are to actually continue with this. And that's just such a shame because you're missing out on being able to reach a lot more people.
Before we move into the close, there's a couple of things that I want to indulge myself. First of all, as a
Sure.
as a podcast host, is there a way that, and there's 4 million podcasts hosts out there for, from a podcasting perspective, is there a way to distribute this content on YouTube such to make it more effective in terms of the traction?
It's a great question. And I'll just speak from what I've seen and my experience with this. YouTube is, they like a consistent format on a channel. So if you have a channel that's strictly podcast content, great, stick with it. Don't switch it up. If you have a platform or a channel that is, more value-driven, educational, long-form content, that would be sort of where mine fits. Don't switch it up. We've never touched shorts because I don't want what we call toilet viewing. I don't want people seeing it and like getting all those views, but people who are not actually invested. I want people to go and actually watch what we're creating, because that creates the most, reciprocity and investment, and it creates the most serious potential clients. So I think that's kind of what I would say is like, if you have a podcast channel, keep it a podcast channel. If you have a different kind of channel, keep it that. If you have a shorts channel, keep it a shorts channel. YouTube likes the format and they like a consistent format, period. And when you screw with formats and you have a bunch of different ones on one channel, it can create a lot of confusion. And it can also bring in the wrong people watching that content that are not actually going to consistently watch anything else.
That's really interesting. We mix it all. Which is part of the challenge.
Don't kill me.
It's really, really interesting. It's why your expertise is so valuable. Speaking of your expertise, Sunny, before we move into the close, you're serving so many people with what you do. Is there one client that really sticks out for you in terms of, when people talk about a testimonial, is there a Sandra, came to me, she,
I have so many that it's hard, to be honest.
What's your greatest success story?
There's so many that I love that I often refer to, two of whom I've actually referred to here. So I'll kind of go back to those two, and they're like slightly different reasons. So Jeffrey is a client of mine. He came to me with no audience, no business. He'd been trying to kind of build his program for I think 2 years, but he hadn't made a sale. And that was like him sitting in that like perfection paralysis. And he had tried paid ads, he had tried a blog, all these things, and nothing was working. So he came to me, and when he had less than 700 subscribers, he was generating about $10,000 a month consistently. We've worked together for 4 years now. I adore him. He just spoke at one of our events, and I've been fortunate to like get to know his family and all that stuff. And he's the guy who has gone from zero to $10 million in 4 years with his business, and he helps men save their marriages. So that's his niche. Liz is another one. I absolutely adore her. She came to us. She was teaching European Portuguese in person, charging like not much, like an hourly rate for that. And she wanted to bring it online. She was working in PR, I believe, at the time. And she created a program teaching European Portuguese. She's been running that program. I think it's been close to 5 years. I could be wrong on that, but something like that. And they've scaled to 7 figures a year. And she had a baby 5 months after I had my daughter, and she had a daughter, and it's been just incredible because she's working 2 days a week now. And she has this beautifully like integrated life, and her husband works with her in her business, and he does mostly of the operations. But I've been able to witness these full story transformations with so many people I work with. There's like a million other people that I can mention right now. Not a million, that's a hyperbole, but there's a lot of other people I can mention. And we actually have a whole YouTube channel just for testimonials, because YouTube likes the format. And that is why I do what I do. Like, I do what I do because to see those complete transformations and success stories, it is such a motivator. And it continuously like validates and proves I know what I'm talking about. And these people are applying the methodology we've created, and they're creating exactly what they want for themselves. And that's just the best thing ever.
Amazing. Good on you. Before we move into the formal close, is there anything that we haven't picked up that you would like to share? Is there anything that we've overlooked here? It feels comprehensive for people to get started, but anything else you want to add that we haven't picked up?
I don't think so. I think that my biggest piece of advice is like get over yourself. And if you have an expertise to share, now is, from my perspective, the most important time to be doing so because we live in a world where we are drowning in information, but we're starved for actual knowledge and transformation. So the people who are I say this era that we're in right now is like the fall of the fake guru and the rise of the real expert. And so I think if you actually have wisdom and expertise to share, like now is the time to do it.
I love that, which takes me beautifully into our timeless takeaways. Given the experience that you've had working with thousands and thousands of wonderful clients who are serving their clients, so the ripple effect of what you're doing, it must touch hundreds of thousands, if not
Hmm.
millions. It's incredible. So
Thanks.
well, really well done. It's brilliant. So
Thank you.
can you share with our audience three timeless takeaways?
Yes. So I think the first one is clarity isn't something you're going to magically find one day. It is something you build. And I definitely have learned this for myself. You know, you can have an idea of what you want to create in the world and what you want to create with your business, but you really have no idea until you really start working with people. And the more you work with real human beings, the more clarity you find and the more light bulbs you have and the better you can serve people. So you're never going to be perfect from day one. Um, this one's really important, and it kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning in terms of like scaling on purpose. I really do believe that your business grows at the speed of your own self-trust because there are, like I said, a million, resources out there. There are so many people talking about how to build a successful business now more than ever. It's become this very sort of like sexy thing to be an entrepreneur when it isn't. In reality, it's not cute. And it's difficult and sometimes it's not, but you go through seasons of it. And I think you honing your own intuition is going to, you know, allow you to grow in a very aligned way and a very values driven way. But if you don't have a honed intuition and on your own self-trust, you're going to be susceptible to investing in things and doing things and spending energy and time on things that are just not going to be helpful at all. And are going to maybe fulfill ego, but not actually fulfill purpose. Um, the third thing I would say is um, sustainable success, which is something I talk about a lot because I did go through a massive burnout in 2017. Um, and I was 29 and they said I had all the symptoms of a stroke at the time. Like it was very scary. And I was like, this will never happen again. So I've always been very committed to sustainable success, which means playing the long game. So for me, sustainable success isn't about doing all of the things. It's not about doing more. And I think that's the irony of growing business is we think the more we grow, the more we have to do, when in reality, it's actually doing more of what works repeatedly. And it's a constant game of optimization. There is no end point where you're gonna be like, oh, I made it, I did it, I feel perfectly at peace. It's more, I love this journey and I feel at peace on the journey, and I'm giving myself a long runway to get the things done that I need to get done. And I'm giving myself a couple key focuses, and that's it, instead of diversifying and spreading yourself thin. So those would be my three.
Steeped in wisdom, despite the young years. Incredible. Sunny, look, what is next for you? You have just launched a new program, I believe, and you've migrated your existing community onto a new platform. You've got to the other side of that literally just hours ago. So, what's next for you? I'm detecting a rest, but
Yes, arrest is correct. Yeah, it's I said to you, one of my core values is peace, and my definition of success is peace. And so just getting back to that place because we've been in this sort of sprint for longer than we would have liked. But it was necessary, and it was really mostly necessary to be able to serve people at a higher level. And for me, my big focus now is we've launched this brand new YouTube channel, authority.io. So I have my main channel, which is under my name, and then we have the authority.io YouTube channel. And it's so exciting because it's not just me, it's the people who are the operators inside of my business, from marketing to YouTube to everything in between. being able to share their expertise about how we operate and how we serve people. So that's very exciting for me, and just really building that brand and building that company. And most importantly, I'm the most excited right now to just be able to dive in and settle in and serve our clients really, really well and to create even more transformations.
Amazing. Well, I wish you every success with that.
Thank you.
It's wholly deserved. I
Thanks.
want to thank you for sharing your time with me today, your energy, your incredible wisdom. This has been value packed. You've taken me. My mind's racing over now because as you were speaking, I'm trying to fix our own YouTube channel as we were doing this live. So my apologies for pausing and stuttering at different times because I'm trying to think how do we take this now and apply it to our own channel. So
I
if
love it.
people want to find out more about your work and how you can support them, Sunny, how best to reach you?
You can go to authority.io or just go to my YouTube channel, that's Sunny Lenarduzzi, or go to the authority.io YouTube channel and you'll find all the things you need.
Brilliant. Well, look, Sunny, thanks once again. I wish you every success and
Thank
a
you.
wonderful rest, some
Thank
peace.
you.
Take
I
care.
appreciate it.